Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Welcome to Night of the Living podcast. I'm Freddie. Amy is here.
Yep.
Kelly and Andy are with us. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Andy.
Via Zoom.
Say hi, Andy. Say hi.
Oh, do you want me to say hi?
I just have weird OCD where it's like I have to hear your voice now.
Say ahoy.
Okay, now I'm not going to speak for the rest of the show now.
Okay, good.
So this show is usually a roundtable discussion of horror, sci-fi, and fantasy movies, in case this is your first time. But in the month of January, we all pick just a wild card, whatever the hell we want to watch.
We pick it for like each other in our birthday order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my pick for the main attraction this week is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Yeah.
Remember when I said that before and you gasped? And you were like, I thought it was Encino Man.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was hilarious.
We tried
because I watched Encino Man.
Yeah.
we tried to do the show yesterday. Started recording, started talking. Freddie's like, so we're going to talk about Buckaroo Banzai. And Kelly's like, what?
Yeah, it was really funny.
He got confused because my pick, spoiler alert, coming up is Encino Man. And he watched that one.
This has been a fun year.
Mm-hmm.
It has. I love Encino Man.
Encino Man's so much fun.
We have all picked very like upbeat movies with like hope in them.
We sure did.
Love.
Yeah.
Is that reflective of like the turmoil in the world?
Would you say that Holy Grail's super hopeful?
Well, it's fun.
It's super fun.
It's light.
Yeah.
That's all we need in
It's
in
light.
these times.
Yeah.
It's comedy. I tend to choose comedy for these since it's horror and comedy are sort of my two big ones, and I feel like I've actually started to edge more towards comedy. Like I'm more excited to watch a comedy that I've already watched usually than something scary. I still love scary stuff. It's still I'm there, but
I feel like horror movies are all starting to look and sound alike. Comedies, there's still some variety there.
and I just I like a light mood. I've been wanting a light mood.
That too.
That's where I'm at. I want comfort and lightness. Even during the Bengals game Sunday night, I was getting too nervous. So I made us change it to Letterkenny for 20 minutes so I could have a break.
Yeah, to calm down. And we missed the biggest play of the game.
And I missed the fucking Auburn play.
So,
but anyway.
another thing we do, and we'll get into the main attraction for the second half of the show, but in the first half, we do a segment called Straight to Video Russian Roulette, where one of us is randomly chosen to watch a new release. And Amy's going to review Burial for that segment.
Burl.
That's right. I watched that movie.
Burl.
Yeah.
Burl and Louisville.
Burl.
So how's everyone's lives? Messes? Mine too.
You know, it's just that time
Yeah.
in one's life
January.
where you feel like your rut is so deep you can't see sunlight.
Yeah.
You've worn 6 feet. You're 6 feet under.
I don't know if I have a rut. What is it? Isn't that like what deer do?
A rut is when you're in your
that's
routine.
That's rutting season. Yeah, that's
Is it rutting season right now?
A rut
For humans?
Andy, the kind of rut we're talking about is that where you
No, I know what a rut
routine
is.
so much though that it tears a tiny bit of the space-time continuum fabric.
It's just a funny word, rut.
Yeah, it is. I like to rut. In the springtime.
Well, I'm just discussing the noun version.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Because whatever, I get to hang out with you guys.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like you don't have a partner.
Sometimes.
Oh man, I'm in a sling still.
Sling boy.
You believe this shit?
Sling blade over here.
Peas, carrots, corn. I don't know. I never saw that movie. I only know that pop culturally.
It's a great
Does
movie.
he say potato? Is that the guy that said potatoes?
French fried potatoes.
Potatoes or something? That who
French
said like
fried
that?
potatoes.
That's it.
I have
Sling Blade.
never seen Sling Blade. I probably never will.
I mean, it seems like a parody of like an independent film. At the time, it was like, wow, that was heavy, man. And now you watch it and you're like, this is what they do on a comedy show when you want to show a movie that was a misguided attempt at telling a story about people with really hard lives. Instead, it comes off as these crazy, over the top.
The 90s were trendy for special needs people.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like you got your Forrest Gumps, you got your Sling Blades, your Powders.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Well, Powder
Does
was
Powder
kind of
count?
weird, wasn't he?
We were just talking about that movie the other day because I saw that at the theater.
I've never seen
Yeah.
it.
Is it hard to get your money back?
Well, that's the thing. I was like trying to talk about what it was about, other than young Indiana Jones's pale white penis
Yeah.
and lightning. I can't recall a single.
Did they
thing
show
about
his
it.
penis?
There's a
His
picture
powder
of
penis?
it?
They show his white
did.
penis?
Just for a second, but yeah,
This powder.
it was Victor Salva made that movie.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
He likes.
Were
some
there
pale pasty.
were there like long shots of his naked pale white body?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I didn't at the time. I just remember thinking, "Whoa, there's Dick."
Yep.
But I didn't think much of it. It wasn't like it didn't seem particularly sexual at the time.
What
It just seemed real dumb. I was like, that was a movie, I guess.
there's What's Eating Gilbert Grape,
Yep, Gilbert Grape,
Yeah.
Benny and June.
Benny and June.
Boy, oh boy.
Oh, I
both
riding
both Johnny Depp joints.
Yeah.
Riding the bus with my sister, does that count?
Yeah. I didn't watch Benny and June. I didn't know that was like also.
I have not seen that either.
Kind of exploitative, I guess. So I think Tropic Thunder, as much as people shit on what they did with Ben Stiller's character in that movie, really nailed like a funny, great criticism of this trend. You remember Simple Jack character? Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Is I Am Sam the last type of that movie ever made, you think?
I don't know, but let's do some research.
There's still
Don't
some
forget, there's the one with
clueless people.
Giovanna Ribisi and Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
I've seen that twice.
That's the other sister, isn't it?
the other
That's the other sister, I believe.
Is that the same one you were talking about? You said riding
No, that's
the bus.
riding the bus.
That's
with
with
Rosie
Rosie
That's
O'Donnell.
my sister. That's right. And then
there's Pumpkin. Don't forget Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
I don't know
That's
that
the movie
one.
with Christina Ricci. Oh my
I
God.
haven't seen that.
Andy,
Is that
have you
when-
seen Pumpkin?
Is that when she's a pig or
No.
something?
No. You got to watch this
Pumpkin?
movie. It is fantastic.
Is she a pumpkin?
No, nobody's a pumpkin. You just got to watch it.
Our friend Troy.
I'm not recommending this to listeners, but I am recommending it to my friends.
Pumpkin.
And Pumpkin, just as if you're trying to be a completist in the sort of semi-offensive or just completely offensive sort of disabilities movies. And that one is a bit of a parody-ish, I think. I'm not even sure. Alise showed it to me.
Oh, so it might have been tongue in cheek, like kind of like calling out the trend.
No,
Oh,
not that.
I gotcha.
Not that. But it was humorous. You'll have to see it.
All right.
I might actually watch it just because you seem to be having a hard time categorizing it. That makes me intrigued.
It's weird.
It's Freddie Nip.
Yeah.
I assume her name is Pumpkin, and that's like her nickname.
Nope.
Oh,
No, that's when they show the.
I'm not
X-ray
going to give
of her
anything
head.
would fit.
away.
That would fit the trend of infantilizing these characters.
Well, just I will give you one spoiler. Christina Ricci is not disabled in the movie,
Good.
All right.
but she is the star.
All right.
Interesting. We have a friend who played one of those roles in a movie called People Like Us, and but it never got a wide release. Have you watched it? Did you watch it with me, Amy?
It was from the 90s, right?
Yeah. I think it was late 90s or early 2000s.
I don't know.
And he played a guy with autism, and he was just like a kind of a plucky, can-do depiction of a man with no autism playing someone with some pretty severe autism. And it was like right at the tail end of that trend, and I think that might be one of the reasons they never got traction because
it was the death. It was a nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
I think it was one of many nails in the coffin for that one. But if you can find it, track down. I think it's People Like Us. I'm pretty sure.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, but remember how proud Cincinnati was when Rain Man was filmed in Cincinnati?
I'll tell anybody
every
day.
Yeah. Rain Man.
Rain Man was so good though, and I feel like I know it's part of what we were just being critical of, but at the same time, it's a pretty damn good movie.
Because it's Cincinnati.
Yeah, not just Cincinnati, but Dustin
It's a pretty good movie.
Hoffman kind of captures something there that feels a little more real.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
I like Rain Man.
I like Rain Man.
Wapner.
A lot of good,
It's emotional.
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff happens in that
Tom
movie.
Cruise is actually really good in that movie.
Good brother stuff.
And it's probably, one of the few roles where I saw him as a human being.
Yeah,
it's true.
because Freddie thinks that I hate Tom Cruise and all he does.
In all his
but-
works, you
All
said
his
I
works, you
renounce.
reject them.
I mean, but I do like Tom Cruise when he's not trying so hard to be a man
So what about Magnolia?
and
then?
masculine. I like him when he's
Magnolia's
trying. That's not. He's trying. He's not try hard and like, look, I do my stunts.
No, but you like him in
And he
Magnolia.
doesn't, because he's not running and jumping off of things.
I got you.
Yeah.
But you
And he
feel
doesn't
like
like action hero Tom Cruise. He does
Yeah.
like actor Tom Cruise.
Yes.
actor Tom Cruise and not human being Tom Cruise, which I don't think
He's not a human being though.
like any of us really know or care or can make a real opinion on who this person is because he's from another planet, right? Isn't that what we've
Tom
determined?
Cruise?
Yeah, he's full of thetans,
If he's
or he doesn't have enough thetans.
where is he new?
Thetans, midichlorians, one of
What's
the
the
other.
planet? What's the name of the planet again?
The
Isn't it
fact of the
Xenu?
matter is he's clear, probably, right? And doesn't that mean he has superpowers that normal humans don't
Well,
have?
here's the thing, Amy. He's never going to be clear. That's how they keep him.
That's how they get you.
Yeah,
Like they're like, oh, Tom, I know we talked to Xenu and we thought you got clear with this last one. We thought you got it and you could stop doing these things, but
We're gonna
it's
need
like-
a couple more checks.
like if you buy a cookware set.
darn that Xenu. We wanted you to be clear, but he said,
He said one
You got-
more.
you gotta collect one more soul.
It's the installment plan on those late night sales programs
Yes.
where basically they're like, you get 4 installments of $49.95 to the Church of Scientology, but then they're like, sorry, it's 5. Wait, sorry, it's 6. Oh, it's 7 because you had impure thoughts about L. Ron Hubbard.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of him. No.
He was a gross dude.
Can you imagine? 'Cause the
Yeah,
thing
he did a
is,
lot of fucking though.
He was
Boy, did he.
fucking
Yeah.
He was part of how many orgies with what's his face
Crowley.
Aleister
Crowley.
Crowley. Yeah.
and fucking
And
that man
fucking.
was somehow that slab of white pale grossness.
Mm-hmm.
Look what he
Those
did.
are the people that fuck.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever look at the pictures of a swingers party from the 70s?
Oh, they're always a bunch
Yeah.
of L. Ron Hubbards.
Yeah. There's
That's
no
us.
good.
We're L. Ron Hubbards. What are you
L.
talking
Ron.
about? We fuck. Who
L.
are
Ron.
these?
But
Who are these mythical hot
Yeah.
people
I'm
that
out there
exist?
fucking.
I've never met them.
these hot people.
They don't
Where are
exist.
these hot people? Who are these hot people?
Oh, shut
That's
up,
what.
Freddie, you're
That's
beautiful.
what Balmy Weathers wants to know.
Regular people are hot to me.
I think everyone, when you look at them long enough, is beautiful.
Just gotta look at them long enough.
I think, like, seriously, like, if you spend enough time and really get to know someone's face and who they are,
Well, there's some people I can be staring at for years.
yeah, it's hard. It's harder with some.
It's gonna take me a long time with Donald Trump.
I'd just rather gouge my eyes out.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the
don't do
end,
that.
I'll probably die.
It's probably better just not to look.
Yeah.
Don't look at it, Marianne.
Avert thine
No,
eyes.
what's her name?
Yeah. Marion, you got it.
Marianne. I said Marianne.
You just put the emphasis on the eye very
I put
hard.
the
I love the
emphasis on the wrong
idea of
syllable.
switching out Dawn Wells for you know who, Marion
Yeah.
Ravenwood. I can't think of the actor's name now.
I'm not really
Karen
sure.
Allen.
Karen Allen!
Yeah.
But then it's Marianne from
Raiders.
Gilligan's Island.
Oh, Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Sorry, I don't remember
It's a
everything.
little film that Spielberg made. You know something? I was somebody I know who is a teacher said that their classroom did not get a reference to The Matrix.
Yeah.
Like the current, are they high school students or middle
College.
school? Oh, college.
Oh.
They
Professor.
They didn't get a reference to The Matrix that he made.
Like how
And-
Matrixy. It wasn't from like 2 or 3, was it?
Well, hold on. I don't know what the specific reference was, but he said they did get a Wizard of Oz reference.
Yeah, well, that's way more culturally influential.
I guess. I mean, like The Matrix seemed like it kind of almost got to the level of Wizard of Oz culturally, but I guess it never quite.
I think the
cracked
first
that.
I
movie
feel
did.
like
First
that
movie.
is just the Wizard of Oz.
Well, it is.
So really, you can't best what you come from.
Well, I'm not talking
I'm
about
just
being
kidding.
better or worse. It's just culturally, you would think The Matrix would be a touchstone that you could just say and it would be cross generational.
Well, do you think it's
it?
because they probably saw Wizard of Oz when they were a kid, and that's when
Yeah,
they're really
in the
impressed?
class and everything.
Also, I mean, again, not to go into a whole thing, but The Matrix is such a mishmash of other more influential things. So it is a mishmash of Wizard of Oz and
Mishmash.
Terminator and like Philip K. Dick, and so it really
MASH.
doesn't have. It's like trying to string together a cultural phenomenon out of a. I like the first Matrix. I'm not trying to shit on it, but it's very thin, and
I think it was the special effects that made it so influential.
now that for
But-
sure it is. That is a huge.
I don't think you, if you're 18, 19, you can see better on TV now.
Well, aren't all these incels are kind of co-opting the Matrix with the red pill, blue pill thing now?
Yeah. Well, they did it a while ago. Like
a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, and now they've also co-opted They Live, and our main attraction this week probably wouldn't surprise me if that, because there's an element of they liviness in this.
Yeah.
They liviness.
They liviness. They liviness.
Anyway, The
yeah.
Matrix.
The Matrix.
You can't be
The
told what it
Matrix.
is. You guys want to move on, or you got anything
Real
else
quick,
for the top?
patreon.com/NOTLP. Just posted Origins that Kelley did solo.
Solo.
I was so low.
So that's up there. And we're going to have a Topicana.
Oh,
Whose question is it this week?
Andy's?
Andy's.
Andy.
It's Kelly's.
But he's giving it to you.
I gave mine to Freddie.
I traded it for a locket.
No, this is
Every
Stu
year.
Kelly, so we keep in order.
I got a watch
all
chain
right.
for you finally.
We'll have to think of a question then.
Okay, well, get back to us.
I will.
Is where we ask each other questions that are just off the wall.
Oh, and
How we're feeling.
Kelley, you said, are you pretty close on the rewards program, the merchandise side stuff?
I have where your if all is correct, your first reward is going to be a sticker,
Ah,
and yes, almost.
all right, cool.
Again, go to patreon.com/NOTLP if that sounds amenable.
You like stickers?
You like stickers
I hope you do.
and other stuff we do, bonus content,
And your patronage is what keeps us
hanging out with
going.
us on Zoom once a week. So anyway,
And we're always trying to stabilize. It's a constant bucket situation, bailing out the boat.
it's a real bucket
But
situation.
you guys you've kept us from drowning
Everybody knows
for
that.
a while now, so
Oh,
bless
chestnut.
you. Maybe we'll find an island together.
Aw. Does anybody listening own an island that they'd like to sell to us for very cheap?
Well, think about it.
Let me
Get back to
know.
us.
It's Amy at NOTLP.com.
Oh, think about all the taxes.
Oof.
Well, but let me just, if it's in a certain place, then maybe you can get out of some taxes. Listen, I don't know.
Here we go.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for straight to video Russian roulette.
There's been a change of plan. Transport by plane is no longer an option.
I thought the time was of the essence.
It is far more important to get it back as quietly as possible. This is a ticking bomb liable to blow up if we are not careful.
Why do we bury it every night?
Someone kills us in our sleep. They still might not find it.
Get up.
Where are you going?
To find supplies in the village. Spoils of war.
It's not safe. We need to protect this.
The Führer.
He shot himself in his bunker in Berlin. This is more important than any of us.
Look around you.
What the hell happened here?
There's no one here.
Forest. Did you see things?
There's no one watching.
We need to move out.
What did you die? Trying to protect us?
No one cares. The war is over. The war is over.
The war is not over.
Isn't it though?
Isn't it?
Is it?
I don't
Is
know.
it or isn't it?
There's always a war happening.
I went to an elementary school with a kid who would always say, "Close your legs, the war's over."
Jesus fucking Christ. Who died?
I don't know.
Elementary school?
Yeah.
Close your legs was like a big thing to say when we were little. I'm not sure why or where that came from
Was
or
it
who.
slut shaming children?
No, I think it was a fart thing.
And they didn't know what it meant. I mean, like,
Yeah, I don't think anybody. I never did. I never exactly knew what they were getting at.
Yeah.
It's
I was like
confusing,
you,
right?
Andy. I was like, is this a? I think it was a smell thing. Like, was the joke?
Yeah, I thought it was a smell thing too.
But I couldn't tell if it was like your balls, your pussy, your ass. I couldn't tell if it was
Yeah.
one or all. I don't.
Jiminy
I think I'm like
Christmas.
Freddie.
A melange
there-
of all of them.
Yeah, I don't think there was a good explanation.
Listen, all I know is close your legs to married men. It comes from the Real Housewives and never mind. Burial. It's not a horror movie, guys. I think I got a little confused when I selected it. It's a thriller, and there are like they kind of intimate at it like a monster, but there isn't. It's all human beings, and I'll just put that out there.
We were the real monsters all along.
You know, it's a bunch of Irish and British actors playing Soviet soldiers and Polish villagers, which is so funny. And for like a second, I was telling you this when I was watching it, Freddie, that for a second that takes me out of it, where I'm like, but wait a minute, you're like, that is the thickest Irish brogue, and I know you're supposed to be a Soviet. You're talking about Stalin. But then later, a moment later, I'm like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing, and this way they can really act. They don't have to fight an accent or something. So,
And they probably didn't want to bring in all those other languages. And I mean, as much as I always in my imagination think I want that,
yeah,
to have it be accurate. 1899, that series they just canceled on Netflix, did that, and honestly, it really hurt the experience for me.
I don't want it, and I think that at a certain point, most people don't even want people doing other people's accents if they're not of that accent anymore. I feel like it gets less and less cool. So
right.
I like when people just, it's fine to speak in the language that the movie was written in and act like we can get that,
I can suspend my disbelief.
If it's in English and we're viewing something, then you can say, well, I'm getting this through the universal translator.
Yep.
So it's translated literally so you can understand it.
Right. I love that.
So,
I got it.
No, I want everybody to sound like Yakov Smirnoff.
He's in the main attraction this week.
Yes. So the movie is about this group of Soviets leaving Germany and going through Poland to act. They're actually taking Hitler's body back to Stalin because Stalin wants to control kind of how the information and, what people see and what people have. He wants to have control of Hitler's body. At this point, I think everybody knows Hitler is dead, and the signing of the whatever the hell's is happened. But they are still trying to steal the body and take it. So I'm like, wait a minute, is any of this real? Because this seems like a crazy fucking thing to just make a movie about. In fact, it is real. There were attempts to steal his body and take him to Stalin. And then that led me down like a rabbit hole. Like, well, what the fuck happened with Hitler and Braun's body?
Isn't that like a weird trend?
Amy, if you aren't careful, you're going to become a boomer man.
I know.
And you're gonna start getting real into World War II.
I'm gonna just be like, let's talk about the Greatest Generation.
But have you know? There's other stories about these leaders' bodies, like throughout history. Like for some reason, other kingdoms and stuff, they always want the remains, like.
Because you have the power of it, right?
I guess so. But even when everybody knew Abe Lincoln had been assassinated, there was even an attempt to steal his remains,
They left the fucking Pope out for like a week, just in a room.
And they left the lid off,
for everybody to look at.
They're like, honey, did you leave the lid off the Pope?
Wait, isn't Stalin buried in a clear... Wait, one of them.
You can't just leave him out like that. You have to put him back in the fridge.
That's right.
Now, you leave the Pope out again, you're going to get grounded.
So it's not like butter. You can't just leave them out. You have to refrigerate them.
If you want a soft Pope. My house was a soft Pope house.
It's Lenin. Lenin is in a glass tomb, and you can still see him.
Yeah.
And he's been dead for a real long time.
Been in a box.
Anyway, it is a weird thing.
So, Amy, what did happen to Hitler's body?
It got burnt. And at a certain
How'd it get burned?
I can't remember exactly because this was a couple days ago, but
in the air fryer.
I thought they burned the bunker itself when he committed suicide.
I think they burned everything and anything they had. There were teeth left over. They did do a dental match, if you believe that. Wink. Did we ever land on the moon?
Hitler. It was Hitler that landed on the moon.
You know who landed on the moon was Hitler.
Hitler. Yeah. That's where the Nazis are. Now. The dark side of the moon. What movie was that? Where there were Nazis on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, that was Iron Sky? Or no, not Iron Sky, but I would think it was Sharks on the Moon or Lunar Shark.
It was that shark movie I watched.
It was that shark movie you watched.
Anyway.
It was
Shark Side of the Moon?
Shark Side of the Moon, that's it.
How could you forget that title?
Yeah, that's a good question. But Iron Sky is very much like Shark Side of the Moon.
Oh, you know that the movie about sharks on the moon? What's the name of it?
But they had dinosaurs instead.
Like there's a bunch of other movies about sharks on the moon that you got it mixed up with.
Man, there should be more sharks on the moon.
There's probably more than one.
If you believe that there are sharks on the moon.
I do.
I would say if there are more than one, there's enough.
There's enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So they're trying to get this body. Like they're it's like in a wooden casket and they're keeping formaldehyde. Like they've got like tubing and formaldehyde trying to keep it recognizable so they can get it back to Stalin.
They show it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gnarly looking.
Is it all burned up?
No.
So it has a little mustache.
Yeah.
He had a little mustache.
He had a little mustache. Anyway, the thing I think got me confused was in the description of the movie they talked about Nazi werewolves. But in fact, there were Nazi like
metaphorical werewolves
dudes that would dress like they would hide in the forest. That's what they're doing in this movie anyway. And I think I verified some of this. God fucking hell, I don't remember. They were Goebbels like little project, and he called them werewolves, and they would hide in forests. And
Goebbels was right there. He could have called them Gerbils, and everybody would remember that
forever.
Yeah.
Who knows Goebbels werewolves?
Would you be afraid of Goebbels gerbils?
I mean, they're Goebbels gerbils.
if they're giant, yeah.
It's unfortunate he has such an adorable
They're the
name.
only gerbils I am afraid of.
Yeah.
What did these Gerbil werewolves do?
They were in the movie. They were trying to get the body back.
So they just dressed up as wolves to like camouflage?
Yes, there were some that had like, a wolf like skull on, like
furry style.
With the furry style. And we wear cloaks, but most of them were just dudes hiding in the forest with guns.
They were just like plush character style wolf costumes.
With like happy wolf costumes, like a
like a Rock-afire explosion Nazi brigade.
Running around with their arms out because they can't really move them more than this. like big tongues, like
Happy.
But they still have Nazi uniforms on.
Yeah.
They have swastikas on their armbands.
With a big long cartoon tongue that rolls out of their mouths whenever a hot lady walks by. They're like,
Yep.
So anyway, they're trying to get this fucking body, and they're trying to stay alive because the Germans are after them. And that's all I can tell you. It was fine. It was a fine movie.
No.
Well acted. Draco Malfoy is in it. He plays a Polish dude.
Yeah.
That helps the Soviets. And
He doesn't play a Nazi? That's shocking.
Nope.
Yeah, I thought so too.
No, he was a good guy.
Remember how mean he was in Planet of the Apes?
Dursley or fucking Dudley is in that movie with Christian Bale.
Dursley.
yeah.
What's his name again?
Dudley Dursley.
Dudley Dursley.
Dursley Dudley.
All the Harry
He was the one who was in the also in Buster Scruggs, right? Wasn't he the one who had no legs?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was.
He was really
like,
good in that.
Yeah, all the Harry Potter villains, they're waking up and taking back what's theirs.
They're getting redemption.
The old ones.
Like the old
That's right. The stars are right for Harry Potter villain actors. Finally.
Yeah.
War sucks. That's all I
Sure
can
does.
say.
So would you recommend this, Amy?
If you're into people fighting in the forest and you're into World War II.
Be into making love.
I hate war movies. I that's the last thing I will watch.
I love war movies.
Unless it's a horror movie. Overlord was awesome. Dead Snow, that was fun.
Yeah, Overlord.
I'm with you, Andy. I don't love there has to be something. I'm not saying I hate all war movies, but it's definitely like way low on my list of genres. That
Even
I'm
historical,
in.
not even just war stuff, like fact-based stuff. And
no, I like that.
Biographies.
I like the adventure war movies, like Von Ryan's Express and the Dirty Dozen. That sort of stuff.
I like Dirty Dozen. Yeah, that's cool.
They feel more like Star Trek episodes to me than like historical things. It's really about a team. It's the same stuff I love about Star Trek, where it's this group of people.
I like a ragtag group.
Ragtag, but they have hierarchy, and you kind of have all the personalities, and if they're solving some problem together. That's what I like. I'm with you. I don't like Schindler's List. I don't like that. Like, I've watched that movie. It was torturous to me. It was very depressing, which I knew it was going to be, obviously.
I knew.
What?
But people lump that in. That's lumped in like as a war movie. But like, to me, I like the fantasy of war.
Yes, Freddie doesn't like to see the devastation of the communities. He'd rather just
I like
see the
action.
shoot.
I like fantasy of war movies.
Freddie's favorite war movie, Battleship.
I still haven't seen Battleship.
I haven't seen it.
I love Platoon though. Even though that's a little more sad on the sad dramatic side, it's still awesome.
Sometimes I like a Vietnam war movie.
There is something really interesting about the more. I had never heard of these Nazi werewolves. I have never heard of them playing games with Hitler's body. I had never but I know that the Nazis were into some fucked up shit, and I understand how this will sound.
Well, I feel like you could
interesting.
I feel like you can attribute anything to the Nazis, and it's probably true.
Right.
Like
anything fucked up. Like, not like, oh, did you know they did though go and do nice things for old
there's no amount of nice things either that, like, whenever you hear somebody make that argument about, well, they weren't all bad, I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Do people make that argument?
Yeah. They do. Kanye West just famously made that argument.
Oh, but he's crazy.
But people who are not crazy make that argument. And some of them are older people that still live in Germany who make this argument. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
You're complicit.
All that shit's wiped out by the nasty shit. Like, they could have done heroic things. It doesn't balance out. No fucking way.
It really doesn't.
And we don't have to talk about all the Nazis we hired. The United States hired.
Yeah, we'll just take them benefits. Give me them bennies. I just want your radiation knowledge and your candy techniques, because Germans candy. That's some good candy.
Burial. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Oh,
You're welcome.
thank you. So for next time, the person will be watching on Netflix The Pale Blue Eye.
Oh, that's the movie I was just
That's the
talking
movie
about.
we're just talking about. That's right.
It has
I didn't even
people
think
in
about
it.
that.
With Dudley Dursley.
In the Christian Bale.
The Toby Jones.
I love Toby Jones.
Robert Duvall. I could go on. Gillian Anderson.
Edgar Allan Poe as a little kid in this movie.
A world-weary detective is hired to investigate the murder of a West Point cadet. Stymied by the cadets' code of silence, he enlists one of their own to help unravel the case. A young man the world would come to know as Edgar Allan Poe.
Stymied, huh? When was the last time you heard that word?
I hear stymied a lot because I like mysteries.
So
Like being stymied happens all
Stymied again.
Yeah.
I hate being stymied.
So let's see who's going to watch The Pale Blue Eye. Is that right? All right. Let's see. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind this one. I don't know why there's no sound.
Well.
It is me. All right.
Freddie
cool.
manifested.
Well, there you go. Bingo bango.
I would have watched this anyway, so I feel like I got away with something.
I mean, let's just reminder. You don't have to hope you get picked. You can watch any of these movies anytime you want.
Nope.
No, but what
the only person that's picked can watch it, Amy.
Oh my lord.
I'm saying the opposite of that though is like I would have watched this anyway, so it's like a freebie. It's not like something like a lot of the things that come up where they're like, after her mother's demise, so and so is having trouble adjusting, returning to school until a dark stranger arrives, and everything you thought before is wrong. And I'm like, oh, that's big.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
We've seen that a lot. Yeah.
Freddie made it seem like he got one over on the roulette. I was going to watch it anyway.
I'm a winner, is what I'm saying.
He did.
He's had so many.
He stymied the efforts of the roulette wheel to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Zao-O.
That was
weird.
weird.
Stymied.
Weird, no sound.
Yeah.
Anywho, do you guys want to move on?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Must be nice. Be able to move on. So my pick is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, which you just heard some of the score from that, which is really cool. That was the coolest trailer. You didn't hear any dialogue because the trailer is a lot of the footage of them just walking down the LA River, fucking looking like total badasses, but also looking like little boys at the same time. It's such a
cheesy
moment. Oh, I just realized I think Kelly and Andy were turned down a little bit.
We were?
Were you talking?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
we were giving you your moment.
Yeah, I was just letting you talk.
All right. So Buckaroo Banzai, the reason I picked this is Amy had never seen it. And a few weeks ago, I stumbled across it and I was like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite movies from being a kid.
I've never seen it either.
You had never seen? Oh, that's so cool. I hope you
and
have.
I'm also a virgin too.
That's
everybody was a virgin.
Freddie, I hate to say it, but I did not like this movie.
I have to say it too. I really wanted to.
I wanted to love this movie so much because I was watching the beginning and the names just kept coming at me, and I was like, no,
everybody's in it.
No,
I actually, it's so weird. I looked this up a few weeks ago before you even brought it up as your choice. Because I got thinking about, like I was telling you the last time we talked about how I get this mixed up with Baron Munchausen and Time Bandits. And so I went and looked up the synopses for all three, and I thought it sounded awesome. And then you said we're going to watch Baron Munchausen. See, there I go.
There he goes.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Did you watch the wrong movie again?
And I was like, woo! And there are things I like about it, but it just was so like all over the place for me.
You know, your reaction's actually pretty typical of a lot of like critics when it came out.
It's messy as hell and too long.
I was just confused the whole time, actually, because.
But I loved how just fucking they didn't give a shit.
They didn't give a shit. That is cool.
Yeah, I could tell they had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, they were coked up, I bet.
But just
they're like, let's make him a rock star. Let's just make him the most important person in the world.
Yeah,
I like that idea. Like the rock star scientist that with in a band.
It's like a cartoon,
which
like,
is all
like Jim.
Yeah, who are also like scientists too.
It was very much like a cartoon, yeah, and I like that aspect of it. Except for the aspect of like a cartoon where it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I liked his band, Buckaroo Banzai and his band. That was the best part. But everything else,
Hong Kong Regulators?
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers, that's right. The Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Like Kelley said, it was just a messy movie because there were things that didn't need to be in it. And narratively, it was just really confusing.
Yeah, it was complex was a big complaint of critics, but like something that, and this was written by a novelist named Earl Mac Rausch, who had a lot of success, but this was like a character that he and W.D. Richter, who directed it, kind of like were bandying about with each other. And I know the novelist who wrote this had all like 30 some odd screenplays written, and the reason it's really complicated is because they pulled things from all of these different stories he had written. But this particular story, it's the movie comes out, what, in 84, I think? Yeah, in 84, okay.
Probably, yeah. That seems about right.
And you have Buckaroo Banzai, who's on tour, about to start a tour with his band we were just talking about. But in the meantime...
Before that...
As soon as he's done performing brain surgery, he's got to test his new flying car, jet car. And... they're going to get it to a speed where it will cross into the 8th dimension. Now they succeed, and it makes the news.
So they were trying to do what he did.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was an oopsie.
And because the older the Japanese guy, what was that character's name? Hold on a second, I'll look. Hikita, that's right. Professor Hikita had also worked with John Lithgow's character, who's the Italian that's scientist from 1938. They flash back to that. And they're like, this was the first failed experiment. And what happened was he was exposed to the 8th dimension. He went crazy. And then they locked him up in an asylum. And he's been there since then.
So he is not an alien.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Did it change his DNA or something?
What happens
into the 8th dimension?
He becomes possessed by Lord Worfen, the main bad red. They call them... what were they called? Electroids or something like that? Red. Anyway,
doesn't matter. This is too complicated.
Well, the aliens. There's two kinds of aliens, right?
Good and bad.
They're
red and black
from the 8th dimension, and you got, just to keep it straight,
all of their names.
And Planet
are
10. Don't forget Planet 10 also.
And Planet 10.
Is that where Xenu is?
8th dimension, Planet 10. That's like an address.
So. Lazardo,
send a self-addressed stamped envelope to 8th dimension, Planet 10.
Dr. Lazardo is John Lithgow's human half, and then he is possessed by Lord John Worfen from the 8th dimension, who is the leader of the
bad ones
of the red colored ones,
the
or the bad
red
ones.
aliens, the bad ones,
and then the black ones are the good ones. That's John. What was
John Parker?
John Parker.
So, okay, honestly, like having them all named John was a mistake. I thought
it was kind of.
I thought it was fun, but like for me, it was just confusing. I like Big Booty.
John Booty.
Christopher Lloyd.
But when you added all the other confusing elements, that's just one more thing I didn't wanted to have to deal with.
I mean, it's not so much confusing as it is.
Straight.
I've given up on the story.
I get it. It's like
I don't really know how
you can come back to it. You can come back to this movie as confused. Especially, I saw this as 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, but
I feel like that's the prime time to see this.
Yeah,
it was just hard for me to discern who were the good aliens, the bad aliens.
They tell you over and over again.
If they're wearing a suit, like a regular suit, they were bad.
So what's happening?
You're flashing with some sequins and shit. They good.
the good black. I feel like I'm calling the wrong thing, and somebody who's a
doesn't
hardcore
matter.
fan
The good
is gonna-
aliens. Just say good.
I want to. Yeah, the good aliens, anyways, are like. Here comes Rosalind Cash as the leader of the good aliens, and she's like, if you don't take care of this, we're going to basically drop a nuclear bomb on Russia, triggering. And I love this, that it's a very Batman leap of logic where he's like, now trigger an international event, which we've never seen.
But why didn't they help us instead of threatening us to?
I had that same thought.
Why didn't they help us? What?
Stop the bad aliens and instead of telling us to do it, or else they'll start World War III.
They couldn't. They were trying to prevent the humans from working with the. Remember there's the.
Oh, she said it. Okay, now I kind of think
the government was working with the bad aliens,
right?
And they were.
Our government was.
They were trying to build a ship that could cross back and forth. I think.
Yeah,
Remember
here's the thing. So
Smirnoff and the upside down president.
This is all super clear, man. Aren't I being clear right now?
Now, when I say confusing, like I followed more or less the points of the story. Like I got those things, but it's confusing like when you're looking at it.
Yeah,
it's like, wait, what just happened in this scene? I know that there's something to do with this plot that these aliens are going to do, and then these aliens. I got all that, but I think it's just. I feel like it's a movie that's best made for kids of the 80s.
Yeah,
like kids.
Yeah, nostalgia is a required element, right? To enjoy it, you think?
So it's a nostalgia treat right now if you just want to watch Christopher Lloyd and John Lithgow like scream at each other and chew scenery, and Vincent Schiavelli and Carl
I'm wondering,
Lumbly.
Amy, like, well, you seem to really like it, even though you had never seen it before.
I love messy, flashy action movies from the 80s. That's where that's my sweet spot right now.
It wasn't
I have no idea what happened, and it was too long. It
hour 43 minutes.
It could have been tightened up.
Yeah,
maybe by 15 minutes.
I'm sure.
Ellen Barkin does nothing for me, but whatever.
What was that whole plot point? I don't understand either of that.
She was the twin sister of his dead wife.
But was she a scientist too, though?
No.
Try to think of it as a cartoon, man. Try to think of it as an episode of Gem.
Yeah, it is basically an episode of Gem.
Or Hannah Montana.
I would love that. Like, I feel it would have been better as a series because,
tried.
like, I would have loved to see just them traveling from town to town and stumbling upon people
up and down the dial.
You know, it's like like a Quantum Leap or a Highway to Heaven type thing.
You know what, though? As much as you say you would like that, I don't think you would watch that show. And I also think that this is more potent as a weird oddity from 1984 than it would be as an ongoing series.
Yeah,
I do think
I
it's
would have followed those
influential.
characters. I like those characters, the Hong Kong Cavaliers or whatever they're called.
But I think the actors are so much the characters that I don't think you could recreate it without Peter Weller and Clancy Brown and those guys.
I feel like this would have made a great comic book.
Yeah.
It's a comic book.
Is it? But was it? It wasn't first, though, right?
No, comics came after.
Of course, it's a comic book in its own universe, but that I think that's perfect for that kind of storytelling. I think for trying to capture that in an hour and 40-minute movie, and then trying to get across, because not only are you trying to actually tell kind of a story, you also have to get across this universe, which is you have this scientist and he's a cartoon character, and he's a scientist, but he's a rock star in a goofy rock band, but it's not goofy here. This is cool here. And like, you know, and he's also the most important person, and he doesn't emote much. He's Peter Weller. It's okay. And like, there's so many things, and you're like, oh, don't worry about Ellen Barkin. She's just here as a plot thing. That's all that matters. And you kind of have to wrap your head around all of that, and then the science fiction, and then the wonky storytelling and narrative. I really wanted to like it. And there are things I like about it. I think Men in Black owes a lot to this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think
I love the score. The synth score was just perfect 80s.
Oh yeah, Boddicker.
There's some real fun. Like, I really love the scene where they're playing in the club.
Yes.
I like Buckaroo's. I like the idea of this character, And he's just so like, whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
He's
and I
just
like how like he's goofy. Like I like how the main character is a goofball.
He is, but
like when you see these newer superhero characters that are more refined versions of Buckaroo Banzai. I mean, Iron Man's a good example. He's like a more refined version of Buckaroo
without
Banzai.
the smarm.
Yeah. So like, do you prefer that more polished Marvel thing, or do you like a campier, quirkier
It's
kind
the
of thing?
storytelling.
It's a story. That's
Freddie,
not. I like.
No, I'm talking
issue.
about a completely different thing. I'm saying, do you prefer an Iron Man type of polished character, or the more quirky, like kind of sloppy, still figuring it out characters that we had in the 80s and 90s?
I think Amy is right, though. I think it depends on the movie and the style of storytelling. Because in Iron Man, Tony Stark is not a rock star.
Yeah, it was a very simple story.
He's not on stage just playing shows with his band and touring and then performing brain surgery. He's like that, kind of. But
he's more of like a
realistic, I mean...
Like a Star-Lord character.
He's even a character that could kind of exist. Like...
You mean Tony Stark?
Yeah,
right,
kind of. But I feel like... So I don't mind like an outlandish, like I kept comparing this in my head to Big Trouble in Little China, which
Same
I
writer.
feel like is a much more successful. Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Holy balls. Well, that makes fucking a lot of sense, but he seemed to figure some shit out, or else the director and the team helped rein it in, because I feel like Big Trouble in Little China is a better version of this.
I love that movie.
Or I won't even say better. I'm not even saying this is a bad movie. I had trouble with it. And Big Trouble in Little China.
You had big trouble.
Makes a lot more sense to me. It feels like a movie I can enter and understand where I am.
You can enter it.
And I would say, like,
I've entered it many times.
It was hard for me to care about. I felt the stakes weren't conveyed very well.
Yeah.
Because
Silly,
like Star Wars, you have what you're up against. You're up against this giant, like the Republic, and they show how powerful they are by destroying Alderaan. Right, that's the planet, right? They destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they destroy that. Like, and same thing with like other adventure movies, like Indiana Jones. You know what happens if the Nazis get the Ark. But I didn't get any sense of what would happen if this technology fell in the wrong hands.
Well, they would bomb Russia, and then that would cause World War III and end the world.
I know, but like
it's a very convoluted set of situations.
Oh yeah,
I know that, but like I didn't get that.
It's not clear because
I didn't get.
It's not established until the third act. That's the problem.
Like I didn't. What were the bad aliens going to do with this thruster that?
The overthruster lets them travel back and forth between the dimensions,
and that's all they wanted to do.
Well,
like I didn't know
they were bad. They said they were like Hitler. Their leader was like Hitler. They compared him to Hitler.
They're bad,
which is what.
But what was he going to do with when he got back to the 8th dimension? Was he going to take over?
Bring reinforcements back, and they were going to wipe out humanity. That was what Rosalind Cash's character was telling them in that scene where she came to them as like that.
Okay, but I needed to see. I needed to see maybe visually of what they were.
She should have had a map and like push stuff across with sticks, like in those old.
I just needed to see like all these millions of reinforcements they were gonna bring back, and them trying to take over parts of that planet,
that planet
at war or something.
Money, that was probably something they would have done.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. I didn't. I felt this for me. The stakes were very low and ill-defined.
I don't even know if like
such a great cartoon.
Definitely cartoon, perfect cartoon.
But it's been a great 80s cartoon. Yeah.
But to Andy's point, I agree with the point you made, but I just think that they waited too long. They waited too long to introduce that to the audience.
At that point, I stopped caring because it was like maybe 40 minutes into the movie or like 50 minutes
at least. Yeah,
it's too much establishing of the characters and not of what was the main thrust of the movie.
See, that reads that way to you. That front load of all these things where you're not getting that explanation. But to me, and I think part of it was seeing it as a kid, that constant trying to figure out what the hell was going on was part of it. It was part of like the excitement of the movie for me, where I'm like, these guys are so weird looking. I was scared of them because I was little and they look like they
Jeff
live.
Goldblum in that cowboy outfit.
Yeah. That's a nudie suit. And trying to figure out, and in my mind too, they live in this where like almost the same universe to my little boy mind. Like instead of the sunglasses letting you see them, it was because Buckaroo got electrocuted. He could see them. And this idea of there being these infiltrators among us was always the scariest thing to me as a kid. This is also the guy who did the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, who did this movie. That's why Goldblum was in it. They had that in their history together. But that idea, and I think that's the perfect real horror example of it, is the 78 Invasion. And then he wrote this, which is the fun version of that same kind of idea. Like, how ridiculous would the aliens be? It feels like Roger Rabbit in a lot of places, I think, too.
Yeah.
Just kind of they're being kind of a weird, goofy.
Can I ask about
Agreed.
one thing that bothered me, if it bothered anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
So Ellen Barkin is, it turns out, the unknowing twin sister of his dead wife.
My dogs are Ellen Barkin.
Ellen Barkin. And she's just along for the ride after trying to kill herself in the middle of the club, but botching that.
That was hilarious, by the way. When he's like, someone said...
Well, he put the spotlight on her and makes her spill her guts to the whole audience.
Like, pulls the gun out on herself.
No, I like that goofy part where he starts he's like serenading her.
Yeah. It just feels like it's a different movie. Like, is what's funny, and I don't want to interrupt Amy's point, but it is like things like that. Like, I love that, and it feels like it's from a different movie than the first part of the movie, and then later parts, and it feels like 5 different movies, which makes sense because you said it was called from a bunch of different kind of scripts and this and that. So.
I think it was meant to be kind of like a snapshot of an overall what it is to be Buckaroo Banzai. It was almost like a greatest hits without ever having established him as a hit to begin with. Like, they're like, this is like a clip show of all the shit that Buckaroo Banzai went through the last couple of years. And I for me, it's almost the things that probably make it, it's another one of those movies where the tackiness, the misfires, inside movie stuff that is in this, like when they go through the lab and there's that watermelon and he goes, why is that watermelon there? And they never come back to it. That was
because that kid from Dirty Dancing brought it.
Right. There was that was in there as a trick to check that the producers weren't watching their dailies anymore so that they could see what they could get away with. It was never meant to, they thought they'd get busted and they'd say, why is that watermelon scene in there? And they left it in because it was a way of them saying, hey, we did something crazy. We didn't do it to sell movie tickets. We made something that we were just having a great time making this ridiculous over the top campy story. And we're going to give you those bits in there.
I can tell they had fun with it, but at the same time, you need somebody to rein in some temptations.
That's subjective, though. I mean, like, that's your experience with it, Andy, but you got to understand, this is still pretty magical. I liked the movie,
and I still see the point.
So, Amy, what were you saying about Ellen Barkin?
Yes, back to Ellen Barkin. So, she is the twin sister dead wife who he's clearly still hung up on in deep in the grieving process. And then at the end, he's like, why don't we just get together? Kiss, kiss, smooch.
Good enough.
Smooch,
you look like her.
Happy ending. And I'm like, that is not a healthy relationship. This is not okay, Buckaroo.
But her name is Pretty Penny, so I don't think
it just stripped her agency away.
Well, that to me is fine because it's like, you just end this now. Like, yes, I was totally with that. Like,
it was just so unnecessary, this whole plot line of
and
the
it's kind of ending
sister.
A movie like this. Like, it's like, you might as well do that because it wasn't like a real character or relationship anyway.
The men who created this movie, Andy, were like, oh shit, we need a lady in it. Like,
here's the thing, like,
let's write this in.
It would be fine, like, if he had love interest, but like if they had somewhat of a relationship that I could care for instead of just say,
No,
hey, you look like my dead wife.
Yeah,
That's
he's
all.
like, hey, did you know you had a twin sister that you never knew about?
That's the only
This is some
thing
heavy
that's
shit.
Didn't you feel
cartoon?
That was the
like
80s,
anchoring
man.
your relationship.
They did the same thing in Blade Runner, where it was like immediately they were fucking each other. Like he met her that morning, and that night they're like, she's like, I've never known anyone like you. Fuck my replicant pussy.
To be fair to what Freddie said too, I mean, in the 80s, there was not nearly as much of the movies did not seem to think that we had brains at all, and they were like, doesn't matter, don't explain that. All of Monster Squad is a what? But I love it. And see, here's the thing, and I get it. I get that you love this because I love Monster Squad, as do I know you do. But I am also, and even as a kid, I was always like, what? Why is this happening?
Yeah, it's weird.
And there were like no attempts to make it make any kind of sense, which is, that was just the way they were like, this is a movie and it doesn't matter. And then as we,
Home
I
Alone
don't know
doesn't
at what
make
point,
sense when you sit with it for a little while.
And it even that movie,
there are times where I
makes
thought for
more
the
of an
Wet
attempt
Bandits
to be like, I feel like that was when like movies started trying to like care a little bit about trying to
Home Alone. Call the fucking police from
I'm
Paris
fine
and
with
say,
it.
go
Yeah.
check on my child.
No, I'm fine with things not making sense, but I just want some polish to it and something not so confusing.
I get you. This would have made such a great cartoon.
Yeah.
I would have watched the shit out of this afternoon cartoon.
Yeah.
Cartoon.
I just love it
Cartoons
for the
plural.
reasons that it is a mess. I mean, like, I think I'm just drawn to that kind of like
You're a
flawed.
messy boy.
I love flawed shit like this, where it is a little bloated, and I think I'm just getting older, and I'm like, I'm going back to the familiar territory. The nostalgia is part of it, but part of it is just this like longing for incompetence. I think everything is so polished now that the little weird shit never makes it to our eyes
it's
anymore.
like, I love like watching trash from the 80s at little movies that, like I like messy, but this was really messy. It was too messy.
Again, yeah, I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion on this movie. I'm just trying to tell you I like this level of messy. This is a good level of messy for me. It's not too messy.
He's a messy boy, like I said. The LA River scene at the end where they're all just walking to the beat of that song that you heard before we started this. And like more and more people come in to complete the group.
It almost becomes the theme to like San Elsewhere or something.
Every movie should do that at the end.
Yeah. I just feel this movie just wasn't the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means anymore, Andy.
He means
I just felt like
it was not a cohesive whole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha. So, yeah, okay. I got you. It was bits and bobs.
Yes, exactly.
Freddie says he's sorry that it was such a painful experience for you.
Yeah. But
Buckaroo.
Part of it is my attention span as I'm getting older and just not having to watch everything with subtitles now.
You don't have to defend your dislike of this movie to me, man.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, given reasons maybe why
You just didn't hit
it's
right.
It's not a mystery. You're like in the majority camp probably.
We both just Andy, you and I are on the opposite sides of a movie right now. Skinamarink.
Oh, I really like it wasn't, but I understand why people don't like it.
Fuck that movie
too. I'm not gonna defend it. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
You and Freddie
defend it too hard.
Well, I can tell you, like, if someone came to me and said Skinamarink is the worst thing I've ever seen, I immediately know what they mean when they say that.
And several people said that already.
Right, I get it. I'm not. That's totally subjective.
Yeah,
stuff.
I was like, I just know it worked for me. And Buckaroo Banzai worked for you. That's all that matters.
That's right. Different strokes.
Alise just scared the absolute shit out of Kelley because she got home and scared him. Did everybody hear that yelp?
A little scream.
He was like,
That was funny.
eek, eek.
So,
yeah,
you were saying about that the LA River bit at the end. They just put that scene in there because they were like, it ends too abruptly with him just kissing Ellen Barkin's character, and then she's back to life. And they're just like, okay, now it's over. They were like, we have to do something. Need something else.
Right.
And so they're like, we'll just put a music video at the end of them walking down.
It works for me.
And I like that.
That works. That worked for me.
The trivia about it being filmed
Uptown Girl.
Uptown Girl,
'cause they
because
didn't
the
have
song wasn't finished yet.
They didn't have it yet, and they were similar.
Oh,
Yes. One more thing, and then we'll wrap this up.
I just wanted to say one more really fun piece of trivia. I knew this sounded familiar when we watched the movie, but I didn't know why. Yo-Yo-Dyne propulsion systems. Are you guys familiar with this?
Which is the evil aliens company where all the Johns work.
Yeah, the Yo-Yo-Dyne.
Not the sex worker type Johns.
Apparently, it's something that has been used like over and over again in science fiction. It's even on the Promenade in Deep Space Nine. It's on the space station. This company. So it's like a cross property name that turns up in a lot of different sci-fi.
Like the stuff that ended up connecting Alien and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
The film universes.
Yeah. What was that? What were they called again in that?
Oh, it's something.
Wutani, right?
Yeah.
Wayland, was it like Wayland Wutani or something?
Wayland, yeah.
Something like that. Somebody will tell me, I'm sure.
Wayland
Smithers.
Jennings.
All right, everybody. Well, that's that.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you for introducing this movie to us, Freddie.
Oh, you're welcome. I wish you had liked it more, but I totally understand if you didn't. Why you didn't makes total sense. Don't be ashamed, anybody. If you find this isn't your cup of tea.
I wanted to like it more than I did, and I didn't hate it, but it definitely felt like a failed attempt for me at something that I would like. Like I'm saying, they tried to please me, I think, and they didn't try in the ways they didn't know what I would like.
What you just said is extra funny because in my mind, I was like, what if Kelley was saying this to someone on their wedding night, like a spouse telling another spouse, like talking about their sexual experience? And then when you're like, they tried to please me. And then I was just giggling like fucking a schoolgirl.
So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things I liked about it, and I could almost see. That's why I just continuously under my breath just kept saying cartoon throughout this entire show, which I'm sure the listeners love. Cartoon. I really can see like the cool story that's in there that was sort of like covered up with a bunch of stuff for me that I kind of was like, I wanted them to just clear some, just kind of wipe some of that stuff. And, and then this would be really cool. And a remake might actually be okay.
Well, they made a sequel. It's a novel, the same writer, which just came out last year. Dark Horse put it out. But I wanted to say, Kelley, to that point, and I'm not going to drag us on too much longer. I just wanted to say, like, Jamie Lee Curtis was in this movie, and she played Buckaroo's mom, and there's a whole backstory about his arch nemesis and this much more refined what you expect from a superhero story kind of setup.
Yeah.
That you see now. And I think the reason you see that so much now is like what you're saying, Kelley, that writers who were fans of this sort of thing were like, what I really wanted was this. And they know what parts they want to carve off and leave behind. Or,
oh yeah, for sure.
know.
Every failure is a learning opportunity.
Totally. I mean, I think, like Andy said, I think there was something good here. It just didn't, for me, it didn't kind of match up. But anyway, it was a good experience. I'm glad I watched it.
So,
can't wait to watch Encino Man.
I can't wait to watch Encino Man.
You've already watched it.
Kelley's already ready because
I haven't seen Encino Man in decade plus.
I didn't even need to watch it because I watched it so many times in my life. That like it's right here, so I didn't have to. I just wanted to.
You wanted to wheeze the juice again.
He was just on the ridiculousness.
Freddie, we're just watching random episodes that are airing live. Who knows when that came out?
I have no idea when it came out.
Anyway,
he was on the one I just saw.
End of every show, we always say hi to our Beelzebubs. Go to patreon.com/NOTLP if that's interesting to you. Alise.
Just saw you naked.
What? Alyssa, Branan and Emily, Jeffel.
Just saw you naked.
I'm such a child. Dustin, Iona Goodwin. Want a great one? Dr. Brian.
Considering the running theme of I saw you naked, and you're like, you got a great one.
Bill Chandler, Bill Farner, Blake, Blayne Yogurt, Short Ash Jeans, Paul, Jeremy and Cassie, I'm with you guys on Skinamarink. Ernie, Dave Siebert, and Monica.
Yay!
Thank you so much, y'all.
Did we have fun?
We had so much
We
fun.
I really did.
I had fun piling on Freddy.
Oh, I don't take it that way. Don't worry. I know you guys well enough to
It's
know.
fine. I'll build his masculinity and self-esteem back up.
No, because Amy, movies are a direct reflection of our personalities, and we're saying we don't like Freddy's personality.
American Psycho.
If that's
I like Freddy's personality. It doesn't come across
it's
the
a
way
little
I
messy.
wish.
His personality, it's messy. It doesn't quite make
Confusing
sense.
what I'm trying to get at.
Well, that's true, actually.
I have a lot in common with this movie. That's why I like it so much. I'm like, well, you don't understand, man. That the red ones are the good ones. No, wait. The red ones are the bad ones. John Lithgow is good until he's not. And then electricity. So
Clancy Brown was hot as fuck in this movie, and I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that. Okay, that's all. Are we ready to go?
yeah.
Yay! Bye.
All right, bye, guys.